There it is.
Tip.
Yeah. Is there one thing that you do every day for your business or for your own mental health or
Yeah.
well-being?
Yes. So I am huge on, a morning routine for me. And I really like it because as long as I stick to my little morning routine, which I quite enjoy, I never have to worry about getting it done. I actually get quite irritated if it's interrupted, like by like a sick husband or something like that. Right. And so, but if I stick to my morning routine, which I'll get ready to explain, then I can be done with everything my business needs from me by like 10:30 in the morning, right? So my morning always looks like this. I wake up, I feed the dogs. That takes a lot longer than you might think. They're extremely picky and they get homemade food. Then I read my Bible. I journal, right? And then I write my entrepreneurial espresso, which is sent out to my members. Then I write a public post, right? So it's like what happens is I am, for me, I want to feed my soul. I want to, my journaling helps me kind of clarify like what messages want to come out that day, right? Like what my members might need to hear, what have you, as well as what I'm going to say publicly. So, like all of my public posts, they come from my journaling. And then so by just doing those four things, right, I've taken care of myself. I've actually, taken care of my market, like the Women Who Wow members. And I have publicly messaged with the call to action to my email list or social media channels, one of those. And so that way I've moved my business forward on all the fronts. And so I used to work out in the morning, but my husband and I now work out in the afternoons when he gets home from school. So yeah, that's my morning routine. And I built my business around it.
With that morning routine, sounds like they're stacked on top of each other. Yep. I'm using that word because I just finished reading Atomic Habits for the second time. Probably better the second time reading it than the first time. I didn't think it was a very good book the first time. The second time it was a little bit better, but he talks about James Clear, super good copywriter, by the way, talks about stacking habits. When was the last time you tried adding another? Have you recently tried adding another habit to that? And do you think you would be able to from that kind of stacking momentum concept?
Yeah, I did that very deliberately in the beginning, right? Like, because obviously, if I want to start something new, if I tack it onto the end of something I already do religiously, then that is, that's something that, makes everything easier. And I'm all about easier, right? I always want to ask myself, like, I just want to be the person for whom like the results that I want are normal and natural, right? I just want to show up as that person. So I don't remember honestly, deliberately trying to stack. The last time I can remember it is when I started stacking the writing, the public writing on the back end of the journaling, because I felt like
Finish the journal, then take that and post it.
Yeah. And prior to that though, I kind of like, I'd go to the market, I'd go to like Facebook and that would be my inspiration for what I was writing. And I'm like, all my stuff started looking like everybody else's stuff, right? Because it's like, wait a minute. Journaling and just kind of letting things come out and just like, even just stream of consciousness journaling now, before I ever open, social media or whatever, like I'm getting a more pure representation of, my voice.
Can't imagine what the inspiration from the old book face would be recently. Just saying.
Anyway. When you do your public journaling or when you do your public, write for your public post every day, are you writing for that day or are you writing to put something in the can for a day in the future?
Yeah. I don't like to put stuff in the can. I feel like it kind of withers and molds, right?
Uh-huh.
And we've all been there, right? We've all been there where we think they have this great idea and you're like all about it. And then tomorrow you're like, I don't even know what I was thinking. Like, it's not that great of an idea. And I think it's just because it got moldy, right? It's got moldy. And so for me, I don't pretend to be anywhere. Like I don't find any value in pretending to be live on social media or pretending. So it's like, if I push something up there, it's directly there. If I finish an email to my list at 10:58, I'm not waiting until 11 to send it. I'm going to send it out there while it's still hot and fresh, right? It's just a more of a organic relationship with my market, I find.
And then if you have to do something with it, comment, engage, whatever, you're able to do that. I mean, there's definitely I remember you talking about that before, and I appreciate that, because I do think that, if you want to engage with someone and that's the game, the strategy that you have, like, be ready to engage back. And there's plenty of people who don't. And it's like, well, I mean, you kind of went out for a high five and they gave you a high five back and you weren't there to receive it. Yeah. How dare you?
Yeah. And I do understand, like, at this point, like, my core job is selling women who wow, right? It's all I do, really. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I get that I'm not like a dermatologist who's having to like market and then still do dermatology. I get that, right? Like, I've built my business to where I get to do this. But even when I was still doing like one-on-one business coaching and consulting, I tried to just be, I tried not to like can stuff up, right? Like, because it just felt, there's an energy to that. And if that's where you start with your content, start there. Sure. Right. Like, plan it out or whatever. But it's like, there's an energy to that. And you think about how quickly the world changes. And so if you're writing something, you're like, yeah, we're going to do it. And like all this stuff. And then it's released on some day that like we've bombed somebody, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just,
I can think about that in the last year where there was a bunch of people in pictures, people in pictures at one point was a bad thing, people actually hanging out in groups, and like people had camera posts, and you could see the post, people like, how dare these people? It's like, it's like trying to cancel people.
I got that over my daughter's wedding. And I'm like, for me as a female, I don't cover my face in public. I just don't. And I never have. And, for me, I'm thinking like, you know what? Like, the virus came, it's here. You know what I'm saying? Like, am I going to hide in fear? No. Is death going to find me one day? Yes. It will never find me coward and hiding. That's just me. So, like, to me, it's like, I didn't really change anything in the last couple of years. And COVID just found me like last Thursday.
And he's already gone.
He's already gone.
Well, is COVID a male or a female?
Huh?
Is COVID a boy or a girl?
I think it hasn't decided yet.
Okay. I mean, you've met.
Yes.
It recently, I guess. So there you go, Tim.
Yeah, gosh, I mean,
what a transition.
I know, right? I mean, how do I segue out of this one? No, I have a parting question as we get ready to wrap here. As you know, on the entrepreneurial journey, highs are high, lows are really low. Where do you turn to when you hit that low point to get you out of that so that you can get back to a higher state?
Yeah, I think the important thing is to remember that it's just temporary, right? Like, failure is not final. And I also, it's like, it's not unlike life. Sometimes you have up moments, sometimes you have down moments. But as long as you keep moving, then it's temporary. And so I think that the biggest thing for me is I make sure not to make it mean anything. Like, it's not like, oh, is this trying to tell me something? Nah, I'm just human. I'm just in the human experience, right? So
but it's mean anything. The thing that's so interesting, though, I mean, a lot of people look to you for that inspiration, and a lot of others, people that turn to me for inspiration and turn to Zack, and it's like,
they don't turn to me.
Gosh, sometimes we have lousy days, and so it's like, how do you deal with showing that positive light?
But isn't that the thing? Is like to articulate that, to be consistent in some, and not consistently like like be consistent of who you are throughout all of that. Like, hey, like, we have good days. Like, so I've used this quote before. There's an Olympian named Alexi Pappas, and about this time last year, I think she runs like the 10,000 meters. She went to her coach basically saying, hey, like, I'm having a lot of bad runs back to back to back. And he's like, and he's like, a third of the time you have good runs, a third of the time you have great runs, a third of the times you have in between runs. It's called life. If you don't have all three, something's the matter. And that's it.
You know what I tell people? It's like, when we were children, like toddlers, we took our emotional temperature and that decided whether we were going to like throw a fit or, what I'm saying, like throw ourselves on the floor or whatever. But we're grown-ups now, right? And so I can feel bad. I can be on my period. My husband can, hurt my feelings, like whatever. And it's like, you know what? I'm still going to show up and back myself. Right? I might show up with a little bit of an edge. I might be a little bit irritated about it. I'm not going to hide it. Right? But it's like, I'm not going to be led around by the nose by how I feel that day. Right? I've got a job to do here. And so, for entrepreneurs, we often forget that. It's like people will say like, oh, I don't feel inspired today, or I don't do, and it's like, can you imagine telling your boss that? Like, I would come in, I'm just feeling so not motivated to come in today, right? You'd be fired in a heartbeat. And so like, to me, it's like, feel those feelings, fine, let them be, but still back yourself, right? Still show up and back yourself.
I dig that. Michelle, it's been wonderful. Glad to reconnect again, and hope it won't be 5 years from now. You guys can check her out at and the entire WOW movement at womenwhowow.com.
Very excited. Thank you for having me.
Parting question, not for you, but for anyone listening. Do you think that Michelle will send me her mailing address so that I could give her a card?
No.
Question.
Absolutely.
I don't know. We'll see. Until next time, y'all, have a great day. Peace.
Thanks, Michelle. So long, everybody.
Are you stuck at your home office, socially distanced coffee shop, or your fancy, all bricked out corner office, wondering why no one can see your business and sales are all over the place? Sounds like you need a pro. That's why I developed the Anomaly Academy. Insert clever copy here. Oh, I guess I was supposed to put something else there. Oops. You can grab access to the Anomaly Academy now at zackmillersays.com/Anomaly Academy.